President Trump threatens to raise the stakes for anti-ICE agitators in Minnesota. Several European countries deploy troops to Greenland, and 4 astronauts return home. I'm Daily Wire Executive Editor John Bickley with Georgia Howe. It's Thursday, January 15th. This is Evening Wire.
President Trump says he may invoke the Insurrection Act in Minnesota. Daily Wire Senior Editor Cabot Phillips has the latest.
The president is warning the, quote, professional agitators and insurrectionists against targeting federal immigration agents amid escalating unrest in Minneapolis. The move would allow the president to deploy the military or federalize the National Guard to restore order. Trump's comments follow a second ICE-related shooting in the city this week and days of protests that turned violent, with fireworks thrown at officers and multiple arrests reported. Minnesota's Democratic leaders pushed back Thursday, accusing Trump of stoking chaos, while the White House says federal agents are under coordinated attack and must be protected. Here's White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt today answering a question from Daily Wire White House correspondent Mary Margaret Olahan.
I would encourage Governor Walz and other Democrats who are demeaning law enforcement to sit down and have a cup of coffee with an ICE agent or a Border Patrol agent. These are great, patriotic men and women who have families, who put on the uniform every day. They are simply trying to enforce the law. And the Democrat Party has demeaned these individuals. They've even referred to them as Nazis and as the Gestapo. And that is absolutely leading to the violence we're seeing in the streets. If you look at some of the images out of Minneapolis last night, look at this vehicle. It says F ICE. People don't do this without encouragement from people in power who make them feel like it's okay.
Details are coming in on another shooting in Minneapolis, this time after an ICE officer was allegedly attacked with a shovel last night. Daily Wire immigration reporter Ginny Terr has the story.
An ICE agent has been hospitalized in Minneapolis after being ambushed by 3 illegal immigrants from Venezuela. According to DHS, the agent conducted a traffic stop on a suspect who then attempted to flee in their vehicle. After crashing into a parked car, the perp took off on foot. Amid the officer's pursuit of the suspect, 2 other individuals emerged from a nearby apartment and proceeded to beat the agent with a shovel and broom handle. The officer fired his weapon in self-defense, hitting one of the suspects, who then all fled inside before being taken into custody. Anti-ICE protesters swarmed the scene soon after. In a press conference after the incident, Mayor Jacob Frey blamed the Trump administration, calling ICE's conduct disgusting and intolerable.
For anyone that is taking the bait tonight, stop. That is not helpful. Go home. We cannot counter Donald Trump's chaos with our own brand of chaos. And I have seen thousands of people throughout our city peacefully protesting. For those that have peacefully protested, I applaud you. For those that are taking the bait, you are not helping, and you are not helping the undocumented immigrants in our city.
Meanwhile, ICE continues to make arrests in the city. They picked up a slew of illegal immigrants yesterday, including several convicted of sexual assault and drug trafficking.
Several European countries deployed troops to Greenland Wednesday. France, Germany, Sweden, Norway, and Britain each sent between 1 and 15 troops for a 2-day mission to bolster the island's defenses. Leaders say the deployment demonstrates their ability to deploy military resources quickly. The Danish Ministry of Defense issued the following statement, quote, "From today, there will be an expanded military presence in and around Greenland, in close cooperation with NATO allies. The purpose is to train the ability to operate under the unique Arctic conditions and to strengthen the alliance's footprint in the Arctic, benefiting both European and transatlantic security." This comes on the heels of President Trump claiming the need to, quote, "own Greenland." Denmark's foreign minister responded to the sentiment yesterday after a meeting with Vice President J.D. Vance.
We agreed that it makes sense to try to sit down on a high level to explore whether there is possibilities to accommodate the concerns of the president, while we at the same time respect the red lines of the Kingdom of Denmark.
President Trump is pitching a great health care plan as subsidy talks stall in the Senate. Daily Wire political reporter Cameron Arcand has more.
The president released a video statement this morning describing the, quote, great health care plan and calling on Congress to pass it. Here's Trump.
My plan would reduce your insurance premiums by stopping government payoffs to big insurance companies and sending that money directly to the people. We will have maximum price transparency and costs will come down incredibly.
Enrollment for those who use Obamacare plans ends Thursday in most of the country. The expiration of subsidies at the end of 2025 has led to higher premium costs around the nation. Many conservatives argue that this is evidence that the ACA was not a sustainable program in the first place. The White House also published a fact sheet on Thursday about the plan, which would include reforms for, quote, price transparency, and also expand the list of verified safe pharmaceutical drugs that Americans can buy over the counter, as well as a cost-sharing reduction program for plans.
President Trump met with Venezuelan opposition leader Maria Corina Machado at the White House today. Daily Wire reporter Zach Jewell reports.
Machado was widely expected to be Maduro's top challenger in the 2024 election before she was disqualified from running by the Venezuelan government. Maduro eventually went on to declare victory over Machado's ally in a rigged election. Despite Machado's position as opposition leader, the White House chose to support Maduro's second-in-command, Delcy Rodriguez, to take over interim operations. That was due to concerns about Machado's ability to command the respect of the people. In December, Machado was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize, which she dedicated to Trump. The White House has hesitated about attempting radical regime change in Venezuela, hoping instead to finesse a more cooperative relationship with the current leadership structure.
The chances of an escalated conflict with Iran narrowed slightly yesterday. Daily Wire reporter Tim Pierce has the story.
President Trump announced there would be an end to the Iranian regime killing protesters. Speaking to reporters in the Oval Office, Trump said this.
We have been informed by very important sources on the other side, and they've said the killing has stopped and the executions won't take place. But we've been told on good authority, and I hope it's true.
The president referenced the scheduled executions, such as that of Irfan Soltani, who was charged with, quote, waging war on God. The 26-year-old was allegedly going to be hanged Wednesday. Trump confirmed this, saying, quote, today was going to be the day of execution. The information just got to me. The executions have stopped. When asked about further military action, the president said, quote, we're going to wait and see.
Vice President J.D. Vance's tie-breaking vote yesterday killed the War Powers Resolution. The resolution was designed to curb Trump's administration if any further military action was warranted in Venezuela. Vance presided over the Senate as the vote was tallied.
On this vote, the yeas are 50, the nays are 50, the Senate being equally divided. The Vice President votes affirmative, and the point of order is sustained.
Senator Josh Hawley told Fox News host Will Cain that he'd been assured by the White House that there would be no move to put troops on the ground in Venezuela without going through the proper congressional channels.
This has always been about ground troops, ground troops into Venezuela, occupying Venezuela. That's not something that I think I would want to do. And listen, I talked to the president, I talked to the Secretary of State, I talked to the Department of Justice. I thank the administration for all of their outreach. And what the Secretary of State said to me very clearly is, we're not doing that. We're not going to occupy Venezuela. And you know what? That's good enough for me.
Secretary of Homeland Security Kristi Noem said a Coast Guard tactical team conducted a pre-dawn raid on the Venezuelan-linked motor tanker Veronica. That makes 6 sanctioned vessels seized by the Coast Guard in recent weeks. The operation went smoothly and the ship was taken without incident. Veronica is a large-capacity vessel with a cargo capability of over 1 million barrels of crude oil. Noem added that, quote, there is no outrunning or escaping American justice, period. Our resolve is unshakable and our mission coordination has never been better.
The State Department is shutting down a Biden-era program that allowed Afghan allies to enter the United States. Daily Wire White House correspondent Mary Margaret Olahan has the exclusive.
The State Department cited serious concerns about the Biden administration's failure to follow security procedures in vetting Afghans. The Biden administration had set up this refugee program at a former American military base in Qatar to support Afghan allies who fled their country during the botched Afghanistan withdrawal. Around 1,300 Afghans had been waiting at that base for years in cramped living conditions to enter the United States. Many of them have feared that they will be returned to Afghanistan, where they will be tortured and killed for working with America. As the Daily Wire first reported, the State Department says the Biden administration's failure to properly vet these Afghans will prevent them from ultimately entering the United States. They'll be sent to, quote, a safe third country option for resettlement, though state has not confirmed which country that will be.
The FBI has indicted more than 24 people in a basketball betting scandal. Daily Wire reporter Lyndon Blake has the latest.
This gambling scheme is being called historic. Basketball players who have played in the past week are some of the suspects listed in this case that involves allegedly fixing the outcome of games for profit. The U.S. Attorney's Office for the Eastern District of Pennsylvania announced Thursday the indictment of 26 suspects, including 20 former NCAA college basketball players from 17 schools for allegedly attempting to fix games through performance manipulation during the 2023-2024 and 2024-2025 basketball seasons. Officials said the scheme started back in September of 22 when the defendants bribed players in the Chinese Basketball Association to participate in point shaving their games before moving on to NCAA basketball. The fixers paid the college basketball players anywhere from $10,000 to $30,000 per game for their participation in the scheme. The charges include sports bribery and conspiracy to commit wire fraud, among others. U.S. District Attorney David Metcalf said this case is extensive and the investigation is ongoing.
And 4 astronauts returned to Earth after leaving the International Space Station a month ahead of schedule due to a medical emergency. Daily Wire senior editor Joel Needler has more.
The return of the astronauts leaves the station less than half-staffed, with only 3 astronauts remaining in orbit. The 4 departing crew members, 2 American, 1 Russian, and 1 Japanese, returned home on a SpaceX return capsule. This is the first ever medical evacuation from the ISS. The remaining crew is composed of 2 Russians and 1 American, who is now the sole occupant of the American section of the station. The medical issue in question has not been disclosed. Although the identity of the alien crew member is not known to the public, his or her condition is said to be stable and safe.
All right, those are your drive home updates. To learn more about these stories, go to dailywire.com. And in case you missed it earlier today, we covered some major stories, including the latest on the chaos in Minnesota and the Clintons refusing to comply with a congressional Epstein investigation. Thanks for tuning in. We'll be back tomorrow morning with another full edition of Morning Wire.